What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, your home for the 2020 World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Also your home for the winners of an absolutely insane baseball game last night. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined this morning by Daniel Starkand. Daniel, we're here to break down an 11-9 victory over a Padres. In one sense, they don't gain any games in the division. In the other sense, this was a crazy one. So before we get into it, let me just set the scene for those who may have gone to sleep or weren't paying attention last night. The Dodgers are up 4-0 in the first inning of a Max Scherzer start. And right there, you just think, great, nice, easy, calm, peaceful night for Dodger fans. Well, the Padres score. The Dodgers get a run right back. Again, game is in the bag. Well, not so fast. Machado 2-run home run in the third. 2 more in the fourth. The second on a Seager error. All of a sudden, it's 5-5. In the next inning, we get Gavin Lux running into the wall on a triple. It's 6-5 Padres. Gratterall comes in for the seventh. He gives up 3 runs in what feels like a white flag. It felt like a moment where we're not going to pull this pitcher who's clearly struggling, can't get anybody out, can't find the strike zone. All of a sudden, it's 9-5. I fire off a Welp tweet. The Giants have won 1-0. There's 4 games left in the season. Like, what are we going to do? Bottom of the 7th, Mookie Betts home run, 9-6. Still in who cares mode, 9-6. Bottom 8, Muncy home run, Pollock home run. Okay, now we're getting somewhere, 9-8. Chris Taylor pops out. Bellinger home run, 9-9. Pitching change, Justin Turner double. He steals third. Mookie Betts pops out. Corey Seager, 2-run home run, 11-9. 7-batter stretch in which there's 4 home runs and a double. 5 balls hit over 98 miles an hour. Kenley Jansen comes in, strikes out the side, and the Dodgers win. And yet, we're still 2 games back with 4 games to go. So we'll get to Scherzer. We'll get to Bellinger. My question to you is, what do you make of all this? Like, what's the headline from last night's game in Daniel's world?
Yeah, I think the headline and what people are calling it, they're calling it the 1+4 game because it was 15 years later after the famous 4+1 game. So, I mean, I think the headline, it was just an incredible comeback, like a lot of resiliency from the Dodgers. They easily could have just rolled over. They were down 9-5.
Yeah.
Their odds of winning the division aren't high either way,
Right.
if we're being honest. So, like, yes, this obviously saved their chances. Like, if they lose that game, you could, basically wrap up the division. It's over at that point. They're probably still not going to win it, but hey, there's still hope now. And to me, it was just fun to see the offense do what it did. Like, they've been pretty quiet for a while here, and I think our main concerns about the wild card game is that if this offense just goes quiet for a night, like, the season's over, and it's happened so many times. So it was fun to see them come alive. It was fun to see them fight. I feel like they haven't had a ton of come from behind wins this year. Like, I know they've had some, but I don't know. It just feels like a lot of times they often kind of just roll over when they're down and just accept the loss, and they didn't do that last night. So that was cool. I don't think there's any huge takeaways, like, moving forward. Like, oh yeah, like, now we're good, like, because they had this one night. Like you said, what you say all the time with Cody, like, we need to see more of it, like 1 home run. We've fallen for that before, right? Like, we're not gonna go overboard like Cody's back or anything like that. But it was encouraging to see. Just overall for the offense was really encouraging, and it was fun. Like, I haven't had that much fun watching a baseball game in a while.
Yeah, and it was the breadth of it, right? Like, it's Mookie had a home run, Muncy has a home run, Pollock has a home run, Bellinger has a home run, Turner has a double, and Seager has a home run. That's 6 different guys with huge hits. So often in these rallies, it's like a guy walks, a guy gets a single, and there's kind of one, Will Smith hits a home run, and then it's like, well, they scored 4 runs, but it was really just one guy who contributed and did something special. Here you have 6 different guys kind of all coming up huge. So it was funny because when I posed this question on Twitter, I had said, hey, man, the offense overcoming pitching. I'm like, well, do you focus on the offense or do you focus on the pitching? Because they needed to overcome a really bad Max Scherzer start. So let's do the offense, and then we'll talk. It's one game, but it's 6 different guys. It's all of the guys that you want. It's a bunch of guys who, if we're being honest, haven't been that bad. We didn't mention Trey Turner's name. We didn't mention Will Smith's name. So you've got 6 guys plus these other 2. Do you feel way better about the Dodger offense heading into a wild card game because of one moment? Because if we're being honest, the Dodger offense has been fairly underwhelming. Maybe not bad, but underwhelming for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I feel a lot better because, like, who knows? They could come out tonight and score 1 run, and then then we're right back where we were. But it was definitely encouraging. I mean, we know how much talent is on this roster. We know this lineup, when it's going right, is the best and deepest in baseball, and they proved it. I mean, they haven't
Yeah.
I wouldn't say, the main guys that have really been slumping are like the Cody Bellingers and Chris Taylors of the world, but like some other guys like Justin Turner, like Mookie the last few,
Yeah.
the last week or so, like they haven't exactly been crushing balls either. So it's good to see some guys take good swings. Mookie's his home run that got it started, that ball was just destroyed
Yeah.
halfway up the pavilion. So that was good to see. Um, but yeah, I'm not gonna overreact and say, we're back, we're ready to go, just because who knows what'll happen tonight, and there's still 4 more games left, and it's still looking unlikely that they're gonna win the division. So their season's still gonna come down to one game. Hopefully, we get this type of offense in that
Yeah.
one game, but you can't always count on it, and we'll see if it's a turnaround type of game where it's like we carry that momentum moving forward and we all get hot, or if it's just kind of a blimp in the radar and they go back to being what they've been for the last month or so, which I would say is good, but not outstanding the way we know they can be.
Yeah, the Mookie home run is probably the biggest headline for me of all of these because, as you said, he has quietly been really bad for a few weeks. Muncy, obviously, great. Pollock, great. Seager, great. So those things were all good. You mentioned Bellinger. I had people on Twitter, hey, Cody's back. Look, I've fallen for that 4 different times this season, and I've decided not to fall for it 3 other times. So, this isn't a new thing. Was there any piece? I mean, some people are saying, hey, it was a high fastball, high velocity. He struck out in his first at bat. He hits the home run. Any percent? Is it a 10% chance in your mind that Cody's back after this? Is it a 0% chance? Where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see tonight because I'm going to guess he's going to be in the lineup tonight because Lux went down after running into the wall. That's something we could talk about as well. I don't think his injury is serious, but with him running into the wall there and not making that play, that was a big play that Cody probably makes. I'm not faulting Gavin, but he just started playing center. So are we really going to trust him as a center fielder in a winner take all wild card game? And if the answer is no, you're probably going to have Cody out there because of his defense. So that gets us into, are we buying into the offense with Cody?
Yeah.
So I'm saying we'll see tonight because he could easily just go 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts tonight, or he could even come back and hit another homer. And we've seen that before where he gets, I won't say hot, but he has a stretch where he hits 3 homers in 4 games and everyone starts celebrating that he's back, and then he goes back to what he was. So I'll say it was a good swing. It was a big swing. That was the tying home run at the time.
Yeah.
I know when he stepped up to the plate, I wasn't super confident. But hey, credit to him. He put a great swing together, and now let's see if he could build off of it.
Yeah, and I mean, look, we don't need to get into the outfield one. You and I hashed that out. I still remain Mookie Betts should be the center fielder. And then Gavin Lux is in right field, and you don't, whatever. But I would still even argue, how many games has Gavin Lux played center field? This is the first time where it clearly cost the Dodgers a run. And again, it's not an anti-Gavin Lux. This was an incredibly difficult play that he did not make. It hit his glove. You expect somebody to catch that. But this is one run that was allowed basically in a 5 or 6 game stretch of him playing center field. So is that kind of sacrifice worth the offensive improvement? Because Lux has been fantastic at the plate. But we don't need to rehash that now. I want to get to Scherzer before we stop.
Hold on. Let me just say about Cody real quick. Something I just kind of thought of is, I guess the Lux minor injury is kind of a good thing because if we are we got to see what we have in Cody, I guess,
good
right?
Point.
Let's start him these last 4 games or whatever, and let's see if he can get it going or if he's still not, because he just kind of came off the IL a couple days ago and hasn't really been in the lineup. I think that homer was his only at bat since he's come off the IL. So let's get Cody a couple starts here, especially considering, these games are meaningful. But I think with 4 games to play, you're 2 games back. The way the Giants are playing, they got 1 against the Diamondbacks and 3 against the Padres that we're seeing right now. They don't care a whole lot, I'd say. So I just think the odds of us winning the division are really slim. So I say let's play Cody these last 4 games and see if he can get it going. And if not, then all right, let's go back to Lux there.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one, as you say, to see how the Dodgers navigate that one. And the new stance and the new batting, whatever. So does any of it mean anything?
Right.
Getting to Scherzer. We went through this with Buehler on Monday. We talked about how bad Buehler has been. He immediately comes out and throws an absolute gem. So shout out to Walker Buehler for that. Scherzer now, 10 earned runs in his last 2 starts across 10 1/3 innings. He was throwing everything. It felt like he had no control. And it wasn't the type of no control that led to walks. It was the type of no control where everything was just middle, and just getting crushed. I don't think anyone's going to be worried about Max Scherzer after 2 starts. Like, Buehler had put together a stretch of like 4 or 5 of those in a row where you're like, man, I haven't felt good about Buehler in a while. Scherzer's had 2. This was coming off at like the greatest stretch of pitching like we had ever seen. So any concern? I mean, Scherzer's next start is slated to be the wild card game if the Dodgers are there, or the play-in game if the Dodgers end up there. Any concern, or is that concern still a level 0 for you?
Yeah, I'm not concerned at all. I think the concern with Buehler was just more about his workload and the amount of innings he's thrown, just because he hasn't really done that before and he's still really young. I think with Scherzer, you're not concerned about the workload just because he's done this so many times in his career.
Yeah.
And also, one thing he does have going for him is the wild card game is Wednesday, so he's going to have a full week in between starts, so he'll have a little extra rest in there, which is always good. But I'm with you. I just think it was just a case of his command wasn't good and he was missing his spots. And like you said, sometimes when you miss your spots, you miss them outside of the zone and maybe you walk some guys and your pitch count gets up. Or sometimes when you're missing your spots, you miss them right down the middle and you get hit. And that's what happened last night. That pitch that Machado hit out was right down the middle. That double that I think it was Adam Frazier drove in a couple runs, that pitch was right down the middle. So I think it was just a bad night. And the other start, that was at Coors Field, where Scherzer has had bad numbers his whole career. And the wild card game is not going to be at Coors Field. So I'm not concerned at all. I still think at the end of the day, this is Max Scherzer. The Dodgers still, even though he's been bad his last 2 starts, the Dodgers still have not lost a single game he's started since he came over.
Yeah.
They've won every game he's pitched. Most of the time it's because of how great he's been the last 2. It's been the offense picking him up. But I still feel confident with him going into the wild card game. I think he's a big game pitcher. He's been doing this his whole career. So I think when the lights are on brightest, he's going to be just fine. I just think these last couple starts were just, simple corrections, with command and such. And I think he's going to be okay. It's Max Scherzer at the end of the day. I'm not concerned about a bad start or 2.
Yeah, I mean, any doubt in your mind about Scherzer being the wild card game pitcher? Buehler scheduled to start the last game of the season?
No, I'm not. I'm not gonna keep going back and forth based off every start. 2 days ago it was a no-brainer. Scherzer. I know Buehler was great the other night, and that's good to see. I think that eased both of our concerns. But I still think it's Max Scherzer, and then that sets it up so Buehler's game 1 of the NLDS, which that's equally as important as. I mean, I know the wild card game's a winner take all, and the game 1 isn't, but if you win the wild card game and get to the NLDS, whoever your game 1 guy is would also be your game 5 guy, and he's going to be the only one that starts twice in that series. So it's one or the other. Do you want Buehler in the wild card game and then game 3 as his 2 starts, or game 1 and game 5 of the NLDS? To me, it doesn't change a whole lot, but I'd still stick with Scherzer. That's the way it's on pace for. So I'm not going to start messing with things and start changing up the order at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, it's possible that you have a play-in game and a wild card game. Obviously, Buehler would likely not pitch either of those because he would probably be needed on the last day of the season to get into that play-in game. But that could make things even more complicated for the Dodgers. But that's a long way off. The headline here: Dodgers win 11-9. Unbelievable offensive performance. I'm personally not really willing to put it in the category yet of the 4+1. That game is like on a mythical level for me personally. But hey, that's just me. But still, unbelievable stuff. And while the Dodgers don't gain a game in the wild card in the standings against the Giants, they do remain 2 games back. There are 4 games to go. Crazier things than have happened. There have been 4-game stretches in which the Dodgers have gained more than 2 games against the Giants. So it's not over yet. Obviously, the Dodgers need to win out. I posted on Twitter, by the way, if the Dodgers were to win all of the remainder of their games, they will tie the 2019 team for the second best winning percentage in franchise history, dating back to like 1953. Wow. So with only 2020 being higher, that was a 60-game season. They won like 72% of their games. Absurd. But just to put in context, like people want to hate on this team and they've underperformed, etc. If they win out, which I think is realistic, it's not crazy to think, they will tie the 2019 team for winning percentage. They will beat the 2017 team for winning percentage and be better than every other team in the last 68 years other than 2020. So pretty crazy stuff. That's Daniel Starkand. My name's Jeff Spiegel. We will be back Friday night with a live post-game show breaking down what happens there. We'll be back Sunday night with a recorded, probably a live show, but not immediately following the game, breaking down whatever happens at the end of the season. It's possible we're live Saturday night if something crazy happens and the game is what it is. But stay tuned. Anyways, check out DodgerBlue.com. Make sure you subscribe, DodgerBlue1958, everywhere on social media. Again, that's Daniel. My name's Jeff. We appreciate you watching. Go Dodgers.
The best team holding a trophy high in the air. The Los Angeles Dodgers, champions of the baseball world.